All right, let's talk about cryptography. It's kind of this invisible architecture, right? It's literally everywhere, securing everything we do online. And what's really wild is that it's all built on a constant, never-ending arms race between the people making the codes and the people trying to break them. We're going to dive right in. So think about this for a second. You go to encrypt a file, right? You type in your super secret password, hit enter, and poof, it's secure. But have you ever really stopped to think about what's happening under the hood in that split second? What is your password actually doing? I'm willing to bet the answer is not what you think it is. And this right here, this is the big secret. The password you so carefully came up with, it's not actually the thing scrambling your data. Not directly, anyway. Its job is way simpler, but just as important. It's basically the bodyguard for the real key. And that real key, well, it's something way, way more powerful and random than any password you or I could ever dream up. So, let's get into our first big idea. The password isn't the key. Seriously, when you use a standard encryption tool, it's not taking your password and using it to encrypt the file. No. Instead, it generates this completely random, super unpredictable master key to do all the heavy lifting. And this is such a critical distinction to make. You've got the master key and something called an initialization vector, or IV. These two are the real MVPs here. They're these long, messy strings of random data, and they're the ones doing the actual complex scrambling of your file. Your password, the one you remember, it's just the lock on the box that holds these two keys. That's it. Okay, so now that we've kind of flipped the script on how you think about passwords, let's rewind, like way back. Why do we even need any of this stuff in the first place? Well, it turns out the problem of sending secret messages is as old as civilization itself. And the fundamental challenge, it has always been the same. How do you hide patterns? In the early days, you had what are called monoalphabetic ciphers. Super simple stuff, right? Like a kid's decoder ring. Every A is now an N, every B is now an X. The problem is, they are ridiculously easy to break using something called frequency analysis. You just look at the encrypted text, find the most common letter, and chances are that's an E. From there, the whole thing just unravels. This obvious weakness led to the next step, polyalphabetic ciphers. Think of the famous Enigma machine from World War II. It used a whole bunch of different substitution rules at once, which totally scrambled those letter frequencies and made things a lot harder to crack. And you could see that whole evolution right here. We went from those simple breakable ciphers in ancient times to these really complex mechanical beasts like Enigma. But the real game changer, the thing that brought this to the masses, was standardized public encryption. First with DES back in '77, and then to the modern workhorse, AES, which came out in 2001. That's the algorithm that's probably protecting the device you're on right now. All right, that brings us to the modern day and to the absolute workhorse of cryptography, symmetric keys. This is the fast, powerful engine behind algorithms like AES that does pretty much all of the heavy lifting for data protection. So what is symmetric encryption? It's actually a really simple idea. You have one key, just one, and you use that same exact key to both lock and unlock your data. That's it. It's elegant, it's simple, and most importantly, it's incredibly fast. And you'll often hear it called a block cipher, just because of how it works. It chops your data up into these neat little fixed-size blocks before it does its magic. But here's the catch. Just having a block cipher isn't enough. The way you use it, the mode, matters a lot. Take a look at ECB mode. It's blazing fast because it just takes each block of your data and encrypts it on its own. The problem, if you have two identical blocks of data, you get two identical blocks of encrypted data. You can literally see the patterns of the original file. It's a huge security flaw. That's why we have modes like CBC. It's a little slower because it chains the blocks together. The encryption of one block depends on the one before it. This completely smashes any patterns. So yeah, it's that classic trade-off. Do you want pure speed or do you want real security? So, symmetric encryption is fast and powerful. Awesome. But hang on, it creates a whole new headache. If you and I need the same secret key to talk securely, how do I get that key over to you? I can't just send it in an email, right? Someone could intercept it. This is a huge problem. And the solution? Well, it's one of the most brilliant ideas in modern computer science. This is asymmetric encryption, and it solves that key exchange problem with a bit of mathematical magic. Instead of one key, you get a pair of keys. There's a public key, which is like an open padlock. You can give that padlock to literally anyone. They can snap it shut on a message for you.
But the only person in the world who has the key to open that specific padlock is you. That's your private key. It's brilliant.
So, you might be thinking, why don't we just use this for everything? Well, the downside is that all that clever math makes asymmetric encryption pretty slow. It takes a lot of computer horsepower, but symmetric is super fast. So, what do? We combine them. We use the slow, super secure asymmetric method for just one tiny job, to safely exchange a brand new temporary symmetric key. Once we both have that fast key, we switch over and use it for the rest of the conversation. It really is the best of both worlds. Okay, one more tool for our toolkit before we talk about signatures. This is a hash function. The best way to think about it is like a digital fingerprinting machine. You can feed it anything, one letter, an entire movie, doesn't matter. It crunches it all down and spits out a unique, fixed-size string of letters and numbers. That's its fingerprint, its hash. And the most important part, it's a one-way street. There is no way to take that fingerprint and figure out what the original data was. It's perfect for checking if something's been tampered with.
So let's put it all together and see how a digital signature actually works. The goal here isn't to hide the message. It's to prove who sent it and that it hasn't been changed. So first, you take your message and create that unique hash. Then, and this is the clever part, you encrypt just the hash using your secret private key. That little encrypted hash, that is your digital signature. Now, when I get your message, I use your public key to decrypt the signature. That gives me your original hash. Then I run the message through the same hash function myself. If the hash I get matches the one you sent, boom, I know it's really from you, and I know nobody's messed with it. And all of this stuff, the symmetric keys, the public keys, the hashes, it's all part of this constant, high-stakes war. It's a never-ending arms race. Because for every brilliant person who creates a new way to encrypt something, you can bet there's another brilliant person working just as hard to break it. The most basic, oldest attack in the book is just brute force. It's not clever, it's not elegant, it's just trying every single possible key until one works. Think about a thief with a giant ring of keys trying every single lock on a door. That's it. So how do you defend against that? Simple. You make sure the number of possible keys is so ridiculously, astronomically huge that it would take longer than the age of the universe to try them all. And when I say astronomically huge, I mean this big. 2 to the power of 128. That's for a standard AES key. That number has 39 digits. It's just a mind-bogglingly large number. Even if you took every computer on planet Earth and put them all to work on this one problem, it would still be completely, physically impossible to try every key. The key space is just that vast. But here's a fun little wrinkle. Bigger isn't always better. Take a look at this. An older standard, 3DES, actually has a longer key than AES 128, so you'd think it's more secure, right? Nope. AES is way stronger and it's the modern standard. How is that possible? It's because the design of the algorithm, the underlying math, is just so much more elegant and efficient. It gives you more security bang for your buck. It's a perfect example of how a smarter design beats brute size. And of course, that arms race is still going. The next big boogeyman on the horizon? Quantum computing. Because a powerful enough quantum computer running something called Shor's algorithm could potentially just shatter the mathematical foundations of our current asymmetric encryption. The stuff we use for key exchange and digital signatures, it could become useless. Not in a million years, overnight. So that's where we are. It leaves us with this huge, lingering question, doesn't it? We've gone from simple letter swaps to these incredibly complex algorithms that literally hold our digital lives together. But it's a perpetual race. We build a better lock, they build a better lockpick. With something as huge as quantum computing on the horizon, what does the future of our privacy and our security even look like? The only thing we know for sure is that this race is nowhere near finished.